Even during the lively era of the Marx Brothers films at Paramount Pictures, featuring vaudevillian chaos like Horse Feathers and Duck Soup, or Mel Brooks parodies such as Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein, audience had never experienced the overwhelming number of jokes like the ones in this 80s flick. These gags are so nonstop that the weaker ones don't even have time to linger. The film is packed with puns, pratfalls, provocations, interplay of foreground and background, double entendres, references to movies, TV shows, and even commercials, along with random acts of silliness and absurdity, including many dad jokes. So be sure to park in the red or white zone and purchase your smoking ticket, but don't eat the in-flight fish meal as Nicholas Pepin and I discuss Airplane from 1980 on this episode of the 80s Flick Flashback Podcast. Well, welcome in, everybody. I'm Tim Williams. I am the host of the 80s Flick Flashback Podcast. Looks like I picked the wrong week to stop podcasting. Today, we're trying to land this plane safely while discussing the 1980s masterpiece Airplane. To help me keep us from crashing, I brought an expert. He's inflated the autopilot, he knows what the red zone is for, and he definitely had the lasagna. Making his return to the show, first time in 2026, it's Nicholas Pepin from Pop Culture Roulette. How you doing, Nicholas?
Oh man, I did look at the fish for a brief second, but
You thought about it.
I thought about it. But
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever eat fish on a plane anyway. Like, that would never be my first choice.
I mean, obviously, being that I was born in '78, so I've been around for a while. I don't
Yeah,
remember the last time, except for when I flew to Germany.
yeah, yeah.
So
There has to be a long flight nowadays, yeah.
I don't even remember the last time I was offered anything other than a sealed bag of like trail mix or
Yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
biscotti.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, the little cookie and like half a can of whatever soda. Like, they never give you the whole can. You only get the half
No.
can. So,
Yeah. So like,
yeah.
the idea of meal service on a plane anymore, it just is like mind-boggling.
Mhm. Yeah, I think, like, when I was younger and did, like, a longer flight from, like, Atlanta to Texas, or I know one time I flew from Atlanta to Las Vegas and then Las Vegas to Seattle for a friend's wedding, but I don't even think we had a meal on that flight, but yeah. But yeah, the last flight I had with meal was when I went to on the Israel trip a couple of years ago, and but that's like it's gonna be like a cultural, like, it was still like Middle Eastern food, it wasn't even like what we would normally get in the United States, so it was interesting, to say the least. It was fine. We're off topic already. Happy New Year, everybody. It's our first episode of 2026. It's a new season. And look, 2025 was a year, good or bad, a little bit of both. And when I was planning this year, I said, you know what? I want to start the year off with some funny movies, like ones that have been on the list that I can't believe I haven't covered yet. And so we're kicking it off with Airplane. We're going to do Naked Gun in a couple weeks, and then we're going to finish off January with Police Academy. So if you enjoy 80s comedies, this is the month for you to be a big fan of the show. So we're starting with the one that kind of started them all in the sense of parody movies, even though Police Academy is not quite a parody, but we don't care. I make the rules. So we're going to talk about Airplane from 1980. So you know how we start the show. Nicholas, when did you see Airplane for the very first time?
Way too young.
Yeah. Yes.
I saw it on HBO
Mhm.
or some like one of my friends had like I saw it over at a friend's house for like a sleepover. and
Okay.
and I saw, it was I definitely saw the unedited version first. Um, and we'll get there later.
Right, right.
But yeah, no, I will say saw it at an age where most of the jokes went right over my head.
Yeah. Oh,
But
exactly. Yeah.
there was enough just stupid humor and
Silliness. Yeah.
slapstick humor and silliness that like I enjoyed it. So later
Mhm.
on in life when I saw it, I was like, well, first off, I can't believe that my friend's parents were that that
It's
bad at their
PG, it can't
job.
be that bad, right?
Yeah, that bad at their job to let us watch this. But secondly, like there's no way I understood a lot of these
Oh,
jokes.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even rewatching it today, it's like I was like, "Oh, I completely forgot about that's even, you know, it was even a joke in this movie." But, like I said, stuff went over our heads for sure. Um, but yeah. Yeah, same for me. Like I saw it was definitely on HBO a lot. Airplane 1 and Airplane 2. Um, and sometimes I get the 2 of them kind of blended together because they just played them so often because they came out pretty close to each other. But it was PG, so that it was on like during the day and sometimes multiple times during the day. So yeah, I saw this definitely as a kid, and like you said, much too young. I'm sure I like have a memory of like my dad being in the room on like a Saturday and it being on, and me and my sister watching it, and I'm sure he kind of like moved in his chair a little bit uncomfortably, but he was like, maybe they don't realize what's happening. So, and it wasn't something, it's the double entendre stuff. Like it's not
Yeah.
that explicit, but besides the full frontal nudity for like 5 seconds that I'm sure he probably had a cow about, but it just but it's quick. It happens and you're moving on. So like just it's like don't bring attention to it and he'll forget about it in 20 seconds. And I'm sure I did. So how long has it been since you rewatched it before rewatching it for the podcast?
It's been too long. I watched it again over the weekend and I was like, man, I mean, I've seen it a bunch. And like I know I've
Mhm.
seen it, more than once. In fact, I'm pretty sure I bought it on DVD. I can't quite see my collection from here, but it's
Mhm.
one of those movies that there's no way I didn't go, you know what? I should have this. And I saw it like a $5 bin. Yeah. I've seen it more than enough to like, there was nothing that really caught me off guard. There were a couple things that I was like, oh, I don't quite remember that. Or maybe there's just, landing just a little different in today's day and age,
Mhm. Yeah.
you
Oh
know,
yeah, yeah.
but so, I mean, if anything, there's a few jokes that went over my head now because like I don't remember or didn't even know the reference then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a couple lines like I'm sure it had meaning then, but I was too young then to know what it meant, and now I'm too far removed from what was popular at the time to know that was what they were referencing, or a joke was referencing or whatever. So, but yeah, I remember. Yeah, same. I have a digital copy. I don't have the actual Blu-ray or DVD of this one. I'm sure I had the VHS for it, or if not, I had it recorded off a cable on a VHS with other comedies. I bought it on a digital. It was in a digital combo pack a couple of years ago, like you know, laugh out loud comedies or whatever on Vudu, which is now Fandango at home. If you want to be a sponsor, let me know. Um, and I remember watching it maybe like a year and a half ago, or it's been within the last 2 years. And then I found Airplane 2 on one of the streamers and definitely prefer the first one over the second one. And so we'll focus on this one. But yeah, so it's been a while for me as well. So it's a new year. We're going to try a new segment here. We're going to play a little trivia quiz about the pre-production and how this movie was made. So I'm going to ask Nicholas 5 true or false questions. And of course, those of you listening or watching can play along, see what you may or may not know about how this movie was made. So are you ready, Nicholas?
Let's do this.
All right. Statement number 1, true or false? The script for Airplane was an original idea that the writers came up with while eating bad fish on a flight. True or false?
False.
You are correct. The movie is actually almost a scene for scene remake of a serious 1957 black and white disaster movie called Zero Hour with the exclamation point, just like Airplane has the exclamation point in its title. The writers, Zucker, Abrams, and Zucker, also known as Zaz, watched the original film and realized the dialogue was so melodramatic they didn't even need to change much of it to make it funny. So yes, there are actual segments of this movie that is actual dialogue from these movies Zero Hour that just comes across as being ridiculously funny because it's so overly dramatic. So all right, so he's got one right. Next one. The role of the co-pilot Roger Murdoch was originally written for baseball legend Pete Rose. True or false?
Oh, I know it wasn't written for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. True. Yes.
That is correct. Yes, the director originally wanted Pete Rose to play the role. When he had to decline because he was busy playing baseball during the summer shoot, they cast Kareem Abdul-Jabbar instead. This makes the joke about him being Kareem even funnier since he is clearly a basketball player in a pilot's uniform. And also one of my favorite scenes when they're pulling him out of the cockpit and he's got his goggles on and it's like he's still got the pilot shirt, but then he's got his uniform shorts and tennis shoes on, which I thought was hilarious. Oh yeah. So yeah, they actually wrote it for Pete Rose, but he couldn't do it. So would have been a different take for sure. All right. All right. Nicholas is 2 for 2. Here we go. Number 3. The two passengers who speak jive improvise their own lines because the directors didn't know how to write the slang. True or false?
I see. True?
That is correct. The directors admitted they had no idea how to write authentic jive. They hired two actors, Norman Alexander Gibbs and Al White, and told them, "We're just going to record you talking for about 15 minutes and we'll put that in the script." So they actually, I mean, they told them what they kind of wanted them to say, but they wanted to do it in the jive slang language or whatever. So, which once again, part of the movie that doesn't age very well now, but was hilarious when I was a kid.
Yeah, no, I would say the funnier part was Barbara
Yeah,
Billingsley? Barbara
Billingsley. Yeah.
being the jive interpreter.
Yes. Yes. One of the greatest cameos ever, ever. Yeah, absolutely. All right, he's on a roll. Robert Stack, who played Captain Rex Kramer, was the only main cast member who had previous experience in comedy.
False.
That is false. The directors intentionally cast actors like Robert Stack, Peter Graves, and Lloyd Bridges because they were famous for being serious dramatic actors who had never done comedy. The joke was that they played the absurd lines with 100% straight faces. Yeah, I think it should have said no previous experience comedy, but yeah, we got it right. Close enough. All right, see if you can get a clean sweep here. Number 5. This one's a little tough. I'll say that from the get go. The propeller engine noise you hear throughout the movie was a sound editing mistake that they decided to keep. True or false?
Well, I didn't research that one. I'm gonna say true.
Oh, you were so close. It's false. It was an intentional joke. Even though the plane in the movie is a modern jet engine aircraft, the sound effect used for the entire film is the droning buzz of a World War II propeller plane to make it feel more like an old B movie. And also because in the original script they wanted to actually on a propeller plane instead of a jetliner, but the producers, like the studio said, no, we want it to be on like a commercial plane, not a propeller plane. So but hey, you did good. You got 4 out of 5, man.
All
That's
right, all
for
right.
with no notice because I didn't tell him until right before we started recording, so he didn't have time to study. So let us know how you did in the comments if you played along. How many did you get correct? So all right, so kind of cover the rest of what we didn't cover there. Believe it or not, one of the funniest movies ever made started as a complete accident. The writing trio known as Zaz, Zucker, Abrams, and Zucker were recording late night TV looking for cheesy commercials to spoof for their theater group. By mistake, they recorded a super serious 1957 drama called Zero Hour. Watching the tape, they realized the melodrama was unintentionally hilarious. Airplane isn't just a parody of that genre, it is practically a scene for scene remake of Zero Hour. They actually had to buy the rights to the original film, which they got for a steal of $2,500 just so they could legally copy the plot and the dialogue. After cutting their teeth on the Kentucky Fried Movie, The trio realized they had to direct the script themselves to get the timing right. Paramount Pictures agreed to make it, but there was two negotiations. The studio demanded that the movie be shot in color because they wanted to do it in black and white and set on a modern jet instead of the propeller plane, which I already mentioned. The writer's demand was, in exchange, they insisted on casting serious dramatic actors like Leslie Nielsen and Robert Stack rather than comedians. The studio got their jet, the writers got their actors. The decision to play the absurdity completely straight is exactly why the movie is a classic. And I would agree. If they
Yes,
had played it for comedy, it would not have worked. It's
right,
because they play it so serious.
and that's why so many parody movies fall apart. Is that,
Mhm.
and I think that's why this one works. Is that they are like, obviously, like Julie Haggerty and some
Mhm.
of those are playing more of the jokes, but like
Right.
the serious the funniest lines are the ones that are being delivered
Mhm.
straight and
Yeah.
deadpan, and like,
Yeah.
Leslie Nielsen, who I'm sure we'll get to here in a few seconds,
Mhm. Mhm.
but like, I mean, just like delivering it the way he delivered it made it work. And I think you're
Mhm.
right. Had they, been like hamming it up and being like wink wink at the camera, like
Right. Right.
it would have fallen apart. It would have just been a
Mhm.
mess.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. I definitely agree. All right, well, let's jump into casting. We've got a lot of cast to cover only because there's a ton of cameos, and really it's more cameos than actual like prominent players, but we'll kind of hit them a little quick. So, first off, we got Robert Hayes as Ted Stryker. He came to prominence around 1980, co-starring in the two-season domestic sitcom Angie. Other film roles included the lead role in the comedy Take This Job and Shove It from 1981, another movie I've seen a million times on HBO, but cannot find anywhere now to relive it, so it must be that bad. He also played Bob Seaver, one of the main human characters in Homeward Bound: The Incredible Journey in 1993. On TV, he starred in the science fiction series Starman from 86 to 87 and a short-lived workplace sitcom FM in 1989 to 1990. The role of Ted Stryker was actually written for David Letterman, who had auditioned for a news anchorman role in Kentucky Fried Movie. Letterman did a screen test in '79 that the writers liked, and they wanted him to do a second audition, but Letterman did not want to pursue the role that was not selected. Other people that were considered: Chevy Chase, Barry Manilow for some reason, Bill Murray, and Fred Willard. But of course, Robert Hayes got the part. So I think he's perfect for the role. I mean, he's the striker I know. I think he plays it the way it needs to be played.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. You can't argue with the product that we got, so I can't say I would have rather seen. I don't see David Letterman doing it well.
No.
But like, I mean, obviously, I mean, it would have been a different movie. But if we had gotten the Bill Murray or the Chevy Chase, like, I don't know. I don't know if they would have been able to play it.
Yeah, I don't think they would have been able to play it as straight as I mean, Hayes does have a little bit more playfulness to his role than the serious actors. Like it's a little more it's not over the top silly. Like I think like I said, I think if Chevy Chase, he was going to add his sarcasm and his,
Yeah.
dry humor. Same thing with Murray. Like it would have been too much of their persona. And even for Fred Willard, I think, I mean, he kind of has his own persona too. So, but yeah, I think Robert Hayes was a good choice for the role. All right, moving along. Julie Haggerty as Elaine Dickinson. Her other film roles included A Midsummer Night's Sex Comedy in '82, Lost in America in '85, What About Bob in 1991, She's the Man in 2006, and A Christmas Story Christmas in 2022. Lane's part was auditioned for by Sigourney Weaver and Shelley Long, but eventually went to Julie Haggerty. The directors advised the pair to play their roles straight. Hayes and Haggerty developed an on screen chemistry that worked in the film's favor. They actually spent time to practice and perfect the bar scene dance routine set to Stayin' Alive to build their camaraderie. So, I mean, this is the only movie that I really know. I mean, I know her in the other movies, but this is the movie that I remember. Like when I see her, like, oh, it's Julie Haggerty from Airplane. Like this is where I know her from. This
Yes.
was where I began to know her from. So,
Absolutely.
yep. Nothing more to add. Cool.
No,
Moving
not
on.
really. I mean, she did what she could.
Yeah, yeah. All right, then we mentioned him already. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, of course, professional basketball player, one of the greatest to ever play. In a 2008 interview on the talk show Today, he said he told the story of being on a European flight and was asked to sit in an empty seat in the cockpit during takeoff so the crew could say they flew with Roger Murdoch, which I thought was great. Um, and it was funny because maybe because I watched Lethal Weapon not too long ago. Um, when he was like, "My name's Roger Murdoch," and I was like, "Wait, that's not no Murtaugh, Roger Murtaugh, Murtaugh and Murdoch." It was like so
I
close
I
together.
had I had the exact same thought.
Did you? Good. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Like it's like when the kid's like, "You're Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Look at my name tag, Roger Murdoch." So, and once again, as a kid, I mean, I knew who Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was. I mean, he was one of the most popular basketball players at that time, and is still one of the most popular basketball players, even, you know, for someone who's not a huge basketball fan. Um, but yeah, just putting him in that role was fun. And I didn't put this in the notes. I'll real reference it here though. The reason they had an athlete as one of the as the co-pilot is because in another one of the movies they were spoofing, there was actually a professional sports person that had a bit part in one of the movies as a co-pilot. So it was
Okay.
like, let's just go ahead and get somebody who's like actually people know as a professional, baseball. I mean, a professional athlete. I think the other person was not as well known. So I just thought that was like it was on purpose. It wasn't just like stunt casting. So
I mean, I feel like there are so many jokes that like even like people who've watched this movie 100 times probably still don't get all the ones that they put in
mm-hmm.
there. It's just there's so many, and you have to watch it. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I was watching stuff this time. It's like I've seen the movie like
Yeah.
a good handful or more times, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
I know, man, you because you just watch things in the background or
Mhm. Oh, yeah. There's so much stuff in the background or just yeah, or just they're it's quick. The jokes come so fast sometimes. It's like you laugh over the jokes. And so like if you see it enough times, like you catch the second and third joke that you didn't laugh over the first time, or because you remember the first joke so much you forget the jokes that come right behind it. So yep. All right, let's go to Lloyd Bridges as Steve McCroskey. He was the father of four children, including the actors Beau Bridges and Jeff Bridges. He started his career as a contract performer for Columbia Pictures, appearing in such films as Sahara in 43, A Walk in the Sun in 45, Little Bighorn in 51, and High Noon in 52. Of course, after this, he demonstrated his comedic talent in other parody films like Hot Shots, one and part two. So yeah, I mean, he was great. And it was his children that actually told him to take the part. They're the reason he did. He didn't want to do it at first, and they're the ones that advised him to do it. So he's great in this. I love him in Hot Shot, the two Hot Shot movies. He just takes it to another level in those movies.
yes,
All right, and then we got Peter Graves as Captain Clarence Over. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I still I think of this at least 4 or 5 times a year when they're in the cockpit, and I got it. Yeah. Uh, I have so many lines that I want to mention. Go back to because I want to say it right. Yeah, we have clearance, Clarence. Roger, Roger. What's our vector, Victor? Like I want to say that before we go on a road trip to my family, and they're not going to get the reference. But like, I just we have Clarence. We have clearance, Clarence. Roger, Roger. What's our vector, Victor? So yeah, but he's playing over. Cap. Where'd he go?
Captain Roger Over.
Yeah, Roger over. Yeah, Roger, Roger. All right. So he's most known for playing Jim Phelps in Mission Impossible, the TV series. I know him from this movie. uh, he initially dismissed the script as "quote unquote" disgusting crap. After rejecting the offer to his agent, Graves said he received a call within an hour from producer Hawk Cook asking to meet to discuss the movie, which Graves accepted. By the end of the meeting, Graves had lightened his tone once he understood that, like Leslie Nielsen and Robert Stack, he would really be playing a spoof of himself and nothing about the absurdist comedy was to be taken seriously. However, he still objected to playing a character who was attracted to young boys and did not commit to the movie. He later signed on because his family and friends who had read the script and thought the role was hilarious eventually talked him into accepting the role. Yeah. Once again, another problematic part of the movie, but still hilarious. Yeah. You ever been to a Turkish prison?
You like gladiator films?
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah. Oh, man. But it's just, because it's so serious, like and then once again, the the subtle overtones, once again, were taken from another, like that, like not the exact same lines, but like questions being asked of a kid up in the cockpit from the pilot seemed like borderline. Why is he asking these kids these questions in another movie? Which is why they decided just amp it up for the spoof, which once again I think is even more hilarious. Makes it even more fun. All right, moving along. We're almost there. Leslie Nielsen is Dr. Rummick. Nielsen made his acting debut in 1950. He was in movies like Forbidden Planet and The Poseidon Adventure as a dramatic actor, and then he got this one, and it changed his life, as he's even said. And he went on to be in the Naked Gun movies, which we'll cover the first one in a couple of weeks. So, I mean, he was the definite standout in the movie as far as like the serious actor, like breaking out. I
Yes.
mean, uh, and of course, the most famous and infamous line, uh, "Surely you can't be serious. I am serious, and don't call me Shirley." I mean, that's, you know, without Nielsen's delivery, would it
Oh,
be as
yeah.
funny as it is?
Yeah. I mean, I've people quote that, and I feel like most of the time they don't even know they're quoting it.
Yeah, yeah, have
Like, or
no
they've
idea where.
never seen the movie before.
Mhm, mhm, yep, they don't understand that reference, but we know. And then we got Robert Stack as Captain Rex Kramer. He starred in ABC television series The Untouchables from 1959 to 63. And later, we knew him in the mid to late 80s as the host of Unsolved Mysteries from 1987 to 2002. David Zucker felt Stack was the most important actor to be cast since he was the linchpin of the film's plot. Stack initially played his role in a way that was different from what the directors had in mind. They actually showed him a tape of impressionist John Byner impersonating Robert Stack. According to the producers, Stack then began doing an impression of John Byner, doing an impression of, of Stack. Uh, but they got him to tone it back down. They actually told him to play it more like the Elliot Ness character from The Untouchables. So that's why there's a lot of scenes of like long monologues of him like giving a grand speech, because that's what he's known for in the Untouchables TV series. So, which I thought was great. So, uh, a name that I would not know, but a character I will never forget. Steven Stucker as air traffic controller Johnny Henshaw Jacobs. He was a scene stealing member of the cast of the Madison, Wisconsin Kentucky Fried Theater, which is where the Zucker brothers and Jim Abrams came up with everything. He also appeared in their movie, the Kentucky Fried Movie in 1977. It led to a supporting role in Airplane 1 and 2. For the first film, the writers gave Strucker the straight lines for his scenes and let him write his characters off the wall responses. Uh, so yeah, he ad libbed most of his lines, which is very evident. I mean, it's all just very quick improv stuff. One of my favorites is the map. What do you make of this? Ooh, I can make a hat, or maybe a.
Yeah, he's one of the few people in the movie who are just hamming it up and are not
Yes,
delivering everything straight. I mean, I'd say
yes,
Julie Haggerty maybe to some extent,
yeah, yeah, but not as much as him.
not
He
as much as
he
him, but
took it.
he
Yeah.
he he's the like the one person they were just like, all right, you go do whatever, and
Hmm.
everybody else is gonna stay straight, which makes those scenes even funnier because
Hmm.
like Robert Stack and Lloyd Bridges are staying so straight and so like
Hmm.
dead face, and he's over there like plugging stuff out, taking things in and out of the wall socket, and
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, and then in the was it when he's wrapped up with the phones, it's like it's a twister, Annie M, Annie M. Yeah, I remember that laughing as a kid. One of my Another one that had to be ad libbed was "Bad news, the fog's getting thicker." and Leon is getting larger. He grabs the other guy and starts shaking him. Oh my gosh, that makes me so much. He just makes me laugh. He's one of my favorite parts of the movie, um, for sure. So, all right, moving into more of the cameos here. Jonathan Banks is a guy that you would know. He plays Gunderson. He was in Beverly Hills Cop, Armed and Dangerous, Under Siege 2, Dark Territory, Identity Thief, and The Commuter. So if you know who Jonathan Banks is, he's one of the Gunderson. He's one of the air traffic controllers, I think. But yeah, that guy. And we mentioned Barbara Billingsley as the Jive Lady. The role of the Jive Lady was originally intended for Harriet Nelson, who had played the mother in The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet, but she turned down the role because she was concerned about the movie's adult language. She was replaced with Barbara Billingsley, who played the mother in the 1950s sitcom Leave It to Beaver. Nelson later admitted to Robert Hayes that she regretted not taking the role. Yeah, Barbara got it. She got the cameo, you didn't. So yeah, but we are talking about how great that scene was. Then another that guy, Nicholas Pryor, as Jim Hammond, the husband who gets sick at the beginning. He was in Damien Omen 2. I'm sorry, Damien the Omen 2. He played Tom Cruise's father in Risky Business 83. He was Robert Downey Jr.'s estranged father in Less Than Zero in 87. Other film credits include The Falcon and the Snowman in 85, Pacific Heights in 1990, Executive Decision 1996, and Collateral Damage in 2002. But yeah, recognized him immediately. Were those that guys for you as well?
There was only one person. Well, there were only two people on the cast list that I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
One, just because it was such a random thing as I was going through the cast list.
Mm-hmm.
Otto.
Yes, Otto as himself.
Otto as
Introducing
himself.
Otto as himself.
Yeah, and he has his own IMDb entry. So they not only kept the joke from the credits going, like they kept it going under the IMDb. And then there's one that as a young boy
Mm-hmm.
watching this movie at a very impressionable age stuck out.
Okay.
Kitten Natividad.
Okay.
You don't see her face, but
you see other parts.
You see the most memorable parts of her. She made quite the career using them in a lot of Russ Meyer movies. I don't know if you're familiar with Russ Meyer, but he's kind of like Roger Corman. Like they don't make Roger Corman. Russ Meyer's a little bit more amped up, with the exploitation side of it.
Gotcha.
But
gotcha.
they're making the back end of the double feature at the drive-in.
Right. Right.
And she was she made quite the career for herself making those types of movies. But as a young boy seeing this movie, man, that scene
awoke some things in you.
Left an impression.
There you go. Yeah, I didn't have her on my list, but glad you brought her up, so talk about it. I will. So I have other ones here, but so we got Lee. I only mentioned this because I didn't originally have her on the list until I found this. Lee Bryant plays the wife of the husband who gets sick, Jim Hammond, who thinks aloud. Jim never has a second cup of coffee at home, which was a parody of a real Euban coffee commercial that was popular at the time, which I kind of remembered even watching it today. I was like, I think they're referencing like a commercial. In an interview with AV Club, Bryant recounted having auditioned for the role in Airplane without Zaz ever knowing that she was the same woman from the real commercial. It was never brought up by anyone. So it's hilarious that they wrote the part, like they wrote that line off of the commercial and then didn't realize when she auditioned that she's the lady from the commercial, which I thought was
I mean, that's one of those parts that like today's audience, like if you're seeing this movie,
mm-hmm.
I don't remember that commercial, like nothing about that. I was reading about it and I was like, I don't,
yeah,
that's definitely one of the jokes that, today is going over my head because I don't remember the commercial from what's that joke came from.
But it's still funny though, because
Yeah,
it's
it's
like, why
such a
would she be
weird
thinking that
yeah, it's such a weird line, like,
he
it's
never vomits at home? Like, because she goes to the next one. Oh man. So yeah. The role of the Hare Krishna in the airport went to a college roommate of Hayes's, newcomer David Leisure, due to Leisure's willingness to shave his head for the part. It would be several more years before Leisure landed his breakthrough role as Joey Zuzu in the popular TV commercials. And he was also on the TV show Empty Nest that came on later in the 80s. But I remembered him as Joey Zuzu in the
Yep,
Zuzu commercials. So
I remember those.
and of course, me being an avid fan of The Love Boat, I definitely recognized a small part Jill Whelan as Lisa Davis, the girl that's in the that's being transported for medical reasons. Of course, she played Vicky Steubing, the daughter of Captain Steubing, in 6 of the 9 seasons of The Love Boat. Um, that's another one of my favorite scenes where and for a long time I thought the stewardess was the same actress that played Julie on the Love Boat, but it's not. They look very similar and they talk very similar, but she's not the same person. And she really didn't do much after this movie either, which I was kind of surprised by. She's not on the list. Um, the singing nun is Maureen McGovern, who sings the theme song to the sitcom Angie, which Robert Hayes was co-starring on at the time of the filming. But her appearance in the movie is to poke at her having sung the Oscar-winning theme song for 2 classic disaster movies: The Morning After, which was in the Poseidon Adventure in 1972, and We May Never Love Like This Again from the Towering Inferno. So you get the lady that sang the theme songs from disaster movies to be in the movie, to sing in the movie. I mean, they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Even if we didn't know, like, it's just learning that makes it even more funny. So, and then what she's singing, oh, when she's singing respect to the guys, the jive talking guys, which was hilarious too. And he just keeps throwing up. It's like he's probably throwing up more by the way she's singing it uh than by being sick. And I did not know. I watched the credits because I knew there was an extra scene at the end of the credits. I did not realize that Otis Redding actually wrote the song "Respect." I mean, I know it's a Aretha Franklin song, but I had no idea he was a songwriter. But I saw that on the credits. So
I think I actually knew that because it was one of those, like, on a trivia contest recently.
it would have to. Yeah, I would say I could see that being on a uh, trivia night or a trivia show.
Yeah. But yeah, that's one of those things like, "Oh, she didn't write it or didn't,"
Yeah,
like
just that it was him that wrote it. Like I know
right,
him.
yeah.
I know him as a singer. I didn't really know him much as a songwriter. So all right, we're gotta moving on. We're getting running long. All right, so Ethel Merman has her cameo. We'll mention her. If you don't know who Ethel Merman is, she was huge in musical theater. I didn't really know who she was at the time, but just as like he thinks he's Ethel Merman, and you see this lady come out of bed singing, "You'll be great," doing the song. I was like, that obviously was Ethel Merman. I was a big fan of Good Times. Of course, I noticed it was Jimmy Walker as the windshield wiper man at the beginning, cleaning the windows of the cockpit and then checking the oil when he opens up the hood of the plane like it's a car, which I thought was hilarious. Um, I know you noticed James Hong as the Japanese
I
general.
did, yep.
Yes. We've talked about him a couple of times. Big Trouble in Little China, Blade Runner. He's been in just about every movie ever made. Um, yeah. So the great James Hong, who's still doing his thing today. So, all right. So last little, I wasn't going to add them, but these are too good not to put in here. So for the red zone, white zone send up of curbside terminal announcements in which public address announcers Betty and Vernon argue over the red and white zones, Zaz went through the usual process of auditioning professional voice actors, but failed to find ones who could provide the desired authenticity. Instead, the filmmakers ultimately sought out and hired the real-life married couple who had recorded the announcement tapes that were being used at Los Angeles International Airport at the time. They actually lifted some of their dialogue directly from the 1968 novel Airport, written by Arthur Haley, who had also written Zero Hour script. The lifted lines included ones about an unwanted pregnancy. David Zucker said the couple got a kick out of it. So, yeah. I know, serious. It's a real husband and wife couple that
Yeah.
actually does the announcements that did that. But when the movie starts and they start, like, I'm waiting for it. Like, that's one of the jokes that
Yes.
I'm waiting for, like, for them to start having. No, the white zone is for no, the red zone's always been the part for the, for the passengers. So, and the last one, the last cameo, which I did not know this, I did not know who this person was, but I get the joke now. They got businessman, Republican politician Howard Jarvis to make a cameo appearance. Jarvis, who was well known in California at the time for getting his tax policy Proposition 13 passed in 1978, plays the patient passenger who gets into Ted Stryker's cab at the start of the movie. He then spends the entire movie sitting in an empty cab with the meter running. He also has the final line, which he says after the end credits. He looks at his watch and says, "Well, I'll give him another 20 minutes, but that's it." The joke being that Jarvis was wasting money while being known for his stance on fiscal responsibility and limited spending.
Which I mean, without knowing that,
Yeah,
it's still funny.
it's
But
still funny, right?
learning that when I was doing research for the movie, I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, I feel like even at that time, like most people missed that joke.
You have to know really who he is, yeah. And then and at that time, who stayed to the end of the credits?
Right.
Like, a
Yeah.
post-credit scene was not what we know of it today, so, like, I honestly I mean, I remember staying for Naked Gun and watching the credits because the credits had like, somebody had told me, like, "You gotta stay for the credits because there's gonna be jokes in the credits," which there were. There weren't as many in this one, like, I did watch the credits to see that, but I don't think I ever remembered that there was an extra credit scene or end credit scene in this until, the last couple times I've watched it, so.
Yeah. And there are, I mean, there are like peppered jokes in the after credits of like,
Mhm.
extra rules or, like adding "so there" at the end of the
Yeah,
FBI
yeah.
warning. Which actually got them in a little trouble. The
Yeah,
FBI was a little mad
yeah,
about that, but they were like,
I did
"Too
see
late to
that.
take that back now."
Right, like, there's no way we can take it off of all of the copies at this point, so, yeah. All right. Well, I think we've covered the cast pretty well. You covered the ones I missed. Or was there anybody else that I missed that you want to talk about?
No, you've pretty much covered everybody that I would care to talk about. So,
As I usually do. All right. Let's talk about iconic scenes. So if someone says, I don't know if I should ask this question to you. If someone says airplane, what's the first scene that pops in your head?
well, the first thing that pops into my head is, well, we've already covered the "Surely You Can't Be Serious,"
Right.
but
Right.
the one that really sticks out to me, and it's not as many times as I remembered it being.
Mm-hmm.
But when he's like, "I've got a bit of a drinking problem," and every time he goes to drink, he throws the water like behind
Yes.
him
Yes.
or whatever.
Yes.
Like that to me is just like that is always every time I see somebody saying, "Oh, I got a drinking
Mm-hmm.
problem," I'm just waiting for them to like
Yeah. Exactly. Yep.
try to
Mm-hmm.
like
Yep.
that part. That one. Um, oh, it's your first time? Oh, yeah, I'm a little bit nervous. Oh, it's your first time? No, I've been nervous before.
Yeah, many times, yeah,
Many
yeah.
times.
Though those lines are great, like the ongoing thing about, um, he's in the cockpit. What is that? Well, it's the little room at the front of the plane, but that's not important right now. It's
Yeah.
like all those little like,
We
uh,
got to get this man to the hospital. What
yeah,
is it?
what is
Well,
it?
it's a
It's
building with, but that's
well,
not important
take
right
their
now.
yeah, like that running joke is really is good too. Yeah. Yeah, iconic scenes for me is and we're kind of mixing them together. Favorite scenes is the hysterical lady, and then they start
Oh yeah, yeah.
slapping the lady.
That's
So that always stands out to me, and there's actually a story with that one. I'm gonna go to that one. The "I gotta get out of here" scene where a stewardess tries to calm down a hysterical passenger was actually improvised on the spot. The original scene, once again based on a scene from Zero Hour, only called for the stewardess to try to calm her, and then another passenger tells the stewardess that he will handle this and then slaps her with the joke ending there. But Lee Bryant, playing the hysterical woman, suggested to the directors that the gag should be extended to bring in other annoyed passengers, forming a slap line. Although they liked the idea, they were hesitant to do it, fearing Bryant might get hurt. But she agreed to it and even added in props like the boxing gloves, the tire iron, the revolver, which is hilarious. After briefly rehearsing it, they kept it in the movie after one take. According to Bryant, Leslie Nielsen's second slap was not rehearsed or expected, and he really hit her, though not intentionally. Which I had seen that on some kind of clip, like some behind the scenes thing, like over like in the last couple of years, where they talked about if you notice he slaps her a second time, which I had never really picked up on. And they're like, yeah, that wasn't scripted, but yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes. And like the song with the for the girl, and she swings the guitar and knocks the IV out of her arm. I always think about that scene. I love the two little kids that are being like the adults.
Yeah.
Like, would you like some coffee? Cream? No, I like mine black, like my men. Oh man, this movie would totally not be made today. I mean, it's funny, but and we talk if they've talked about it, it offends everybody. Nobody, it's like it's one thing if you're just trying to offend one type of person, but they were just making fun of everybody. Like
Right.
everybody gets gets joked on, and so it's kind of like it's all's fair. So I
Yeah.
don't think they try to make anyone superior over another. Like everybody's doing just as stupid things as everybody else. So
The other one that I really like that I also refer back to a lot in my own head is man, I picked the wrong week to stop,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then it just every time he said it, it was increasingly worse.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
drink
The first one is
drink
quit drinking, quit smoking, sniffing glue. Which I, as a kid, I was like, really sniffing glue. And I would take the Elmer's glue and like try to. I was like, it just smells like glue. Like I didn't. But I think my sister, who was older than me, had to explain to me, no, it's not that type of glue, and don't do it. So, and then the last one is pick the wrong way to quit amphetamines, which I always thought it was I needed to quit popping pills, which might have been the TV version. I don't know, but when he said quit amphetamines, I was like, I don't remember that being the line there, but that's what it is. Oh, my other favorite part is when the doctor is talking about the symptoms of the sickness, and it starts happening to the pilot Peter Graves as he's
yeah.
talking about it. Yeah, the virus penetrates the red blood cells. The victim becomes dizzy, begins to experience an itchy rash. Then the poison goes to work on the central nervous system, severe muscle spasms, followed by inevitable drooling. It's like, oh my gosh, that is so funny. It's just so funny. Uh, then he's reduced to a quivering, wasted piece of jelly. So, yeah.
But a joke that I definitely didn't get when I was a kid was the reinflating the autopilot.
Yes, yes. I didn't get that joke until I was much older.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I got it now, but
yeah. I did get when they detach the autopilot and it's floating around and then it comes up behind
yes,
um Julie and where he's holding her. I was like, I knew that was a bad thing when I was little. Like I shouldn't
yeah.
even see that. Shouldn't see that.
You know what? Like it's so forgotten because like immediately after it just the opening of the movie
Hmm.
when it's the Jaws like
Yes, the
dun,
Jaws
dun, dun, dun,
theme.
dun, dun,
Yeah.
and use just the little tail fin of the airplane
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
through the clouds like it just
Yeah. Yeah.
like because I mean it's just and then so much stuff at the beginning of the movie in the airport like when they're walking through the security line I'm like oh do you got any metal and he takes his hand off and
Yes.
then he takes his
Yes.
foot
Yes.
off.
And the X-ray machine has an actual X-ray, like somebody's lungs, a lung
Yeah,
X-ray.
like
Yeah.
so much stuff
Yeah.
you miss because like it's just like you said like it's one joke after another and
Hmm.
sometimes there's two
Yeah.
or three jokes in one scene so like if
Hmm.
you're looking over at here you're missing what's going on back there.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say like this movie and like the movie this one started it, but even the ones that come out, we'll talk about it in a couple weeks. We get to Naked Gun, which I think did it more. But the behind, like what's happening in the background, like it forced me when I'm watching movies. Like if somebody's having a conversation, I get bored. I just start watching what's happening in the background. Most of the time, there's nothing that's intentional there, but like those kind of scenes that are written, like they'll do it now. Like they did on Started Out Live here recently where they've done a skit where it's just two people talking, but there's all this stuff happening in the background. And there's a very popular one from In Living Color that I think was on their halftime special where there's like a news interview happening and then Jim Carrey realizes there's a camera and so he's behind them, like, making faces and being silly, but they're having this serious conversation, but you're totally oblivious to the conversation in the front because you're focused on what's happening in the back. So, like, for them to have those kind of scenes where, like I said, like the scene in the, cockpit where the pilots are having this conversation, but Jimmy Walker is like treating it like a
Yes.
car, cleaning the windows and checking the oil, and then he falls off the ladder. Like that's all happening in the background that you're paying attention to. I can't tell you what any of that dialogue is the pilots are talking about because that's not the focus. But
Yeah.
that kind of comedy, this is the movie
But
that got me into that kind of
it
stuff.
it's really hard to pick iconic over
Yeah,
favorite because there's
yeah,
so many iconic
yeah,
from this movie, and
yeah.
it's
I
just, I
mean,
mean,
I literally have one page in my notes of just lines that I wanted to talk about, and I had to stop. I was like, "I'm gonna have half the movie of the funniest lines that I remember, or lines that I remember."
I was writing a bunch of stuff down, and then I went back and I wrote so many jokes it's hard to pick.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Um, but I will mention this will be the last one, and then we'll get into some trivia scenes, but when oh, I'm sorry, this was a deleted scene because I read it, I was like, "I don't remember that in the movie, maybe I just missed it, but it's hilarious." So there's a cutting room floor scene where they're going into the nosedive, and Elaine says, "Ted, the altitude, we're falling, Ted, we're falling. The mountains, Ted, the mountains." And Ted says, "What mountains? We're over Iowa." And she says, "The cornfields, Ted, the cornfields." Which I was like, "That's great." So I just realized it said that was a cutting room floor scene that didn't make. I was like, that I was like,
Yeah,
obviously
I
this is
don't
the last
remember
time I
that.
watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a good line. So all right, well, let's jump into some trivia, some other scenes. For the famous scene of the Boeing 747, once again, iconic scene, crashing through the large windows, which I love. It's the he's guiding the plane in with the flashlights, and the guy says, "Hey, where's the where's the whatever?" He moves his lights to go the other direction. Of course, the pilot follows it. Um, but producer John Davidson mentions in the Blu-ray extras that after the movie, he received numerous letters from various pilots telling that they had come very close to reenacting that very scene in real life, with some pilots admitting they had come so close as to touch the glass with the noses of their airplanes.
Ooh.
Oh man. This one I did not know. This was kind of interesting. When discussing whether the flight is in radar range, an air traffic controller is instructed to quote unquote check the radar range. He immediately stands up and opens a microwave oven. This is a
Yes.
nod to the Amana radar range, one of the first successful in-home microwave ovens. Microwaves used for cooking was accidentally discovered during its early development for locating aircraft when a scientist walked through a beam and found his chocolate bar had melted in his pocket. So the name radar range is quite literal, which once again, totally over my head. But it made me think of another scene where you're looking at the air traffic controllers, and the guy in the background opens up one of the one of the circular screens, and it's like the dryer, and he's pulling out his laundry from the dryer. You
Yeah.
remember that part? Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember
Oh,
that one.
yeah. Oh man. So yeah, so radar range, that was true. Uh the first 2 days of the movie's gross covered its entire production budget. So, yeah, it did well at the box office, which we're getting to next. So, any other trivia things? There was a lot that I tried to keep it short. Was there anything that you might have read
No,
that you
I
wanted to
mean,
mention?
no, nothing that we've covered everything I wrote down on my notes. So
Okay. All right, cool. We're wrapping it up. So let's talk about box office. Airplane opened on June 27th, 1980, in 7 theaters in Toronto, grossing $83,000 in its opening weekend in 7 theaters. It also opened in 2 theaters in Buffalo, New York, grossing 14,000 in the first week. It then expanded on Wednesday, July 2nd, to 705 theaters in the United States and Canada, grossing 6 million in its first 5 days of wide release, finishing second for the weekend. Overall, it grossed $83 million in the US and Canadian box office and returned $40 million in rentals, making it the fourth highest grossing film of 1980, which is why they made a sequel so fast that Zaz hadn't wanted nothing to do with, and it's very evident because it's not not good at all. They're on a space shuttle instead of
yeah,
the airplane. Yeah,
it's
it's
been a
and they just
long, long
yeah
time since I've
yeah
seen the second one.
It's a lot of recycled jokes from the first one, which was what most sequels were, especially early '80s. Like a comedy sequel that you're just trying to recycle the jokes in a different setting, and that's pretty much what they did. It's yeah, it's really bad. All right, it's time to take a look at how well this '80s flick holds up today. It's the rewatchability nostalgia meter. Patent pending. It's our way of measuring how enjoyable a movie is for repeat viewings along with the waves and nostalgia it brings. Here's how it works. It's a 1 to 10 scale. Any number between 1 and 10 will do, but here are a few parameters to help you decide. At the bottom of the meter, where the number 1 is I saw it once and that was enough. Right in the middle is a number 5, which is a good rewatch every couple of years. And the highly coveted number 10 at the top of the meter is highly rewatchable and full of nostalgia. So, Nicholas Pepin from Pop Culture Roulette, where does Airplane rank for you
Now,
on the rewatchability nostalgia meter?
having admitted that I haven't watched this movie in a while,
Mhm.
means I shouldn't do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna have to give this one a 10. I mean,
Okay.
I mean, yes, I get that part of it's dated and some of the stuff, maybe
Mhm.
some of the jokes don't hold up as well, but like it's still so infinitely watchable. And yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
like I think, a new watcher could sit down and watch it today. And yeah, there's gonna be a fair amount of jokes that go over your head because,
Mhm.
even as a, granted I probably saw it in 85, 86.
Mhm.
So it was already a 6 or 7 year old movie by the time I saw it. Um You know, so there's a lot of jokes that like I've never seen Zero Hour. I've been aware that that movie existed because of this, but
Right,
I've
right.
never bothered to hunt it down. I've seen a bunch of the other movies, but it's this unfair or fair, however you want to say, is the movie that I think pretty much every parody movie, for me anyway, is judged off of.
Mhm.
There's a
Mhm.
couple other, most of them are Mel Brooks, but there's a couple others that like I put in this category. Like it's like when I sit down and watch any of them, and I'm not going to name them because I don't want to throw people under the bus. But like
Right, right.
when I watch a lot of the modern parody
Mhm.
movies,
Mhm.
or that early mid 2000s when like there was
Yeah.
a whole
It was a
like
resurgence of the
the
parody movies. Yeah.
resurgence of the parody movie, and it's like you guys don't like you missed the memo. Like you didn't like you
Yeah.
can't just make a joke to make a joke. Like you have
Right.
to
Right.
there has to be some research. Like the having a radar range in the back. You know,
Mhm. Mhm.
like or making a random reference to a coffee commercial that
Yeah,
only
yeah.
half the audience is gonna know. You know,
But it's still funny whether you knew
it's
the
still
commercial or not.
right, yeah, making sure that the joke lands, not just, going, we said it funny, huh? And,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
nudge, nudge,
Yeah.
wink, wink. I mean, Ted Stryker looks at the camera once the entire movie.
Mhm.
The rest of
Yeah.
having Leslie Nielsen play it straight made it
Mhm.
so much better. And,
Mhm.
so like I said, it's unfair to other movies, maybe or not. I don't know, but this one and maybe Spaceballs and the
Mhm.
movie that you were going to be covering in a couple weeks, Naked Gun, are the movies that I use to judge all other parody movies.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would even say like Mel Brooks changed how he parodied, I think after this, like Spaceballs wouldn't have been Spaceballs or Robin Hood Men in Tights are very different than like Blazing Saddles
Yes,
and even like History of the World Part 1 that came out the next year.
right.
So like he leaned into a lot of what Zucker and Abrams did in this that established in this. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I think it changed the way parodies were done for sure.
So yeah, but for that, I have to give it a 10. I really
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. I can't give it a 10 like only because it's the rewatchability, the nostalgia is really brings it up high, but I'm like you. It's highly rewatchable, like I should watch it every year. So I'm going to give it a 9. I'm like right there at it. I just can't quite give it the 10 because it's not one that I've watched over and over and over again, but um but it's still enjoyable. I had a good time watching it again today. And it's one of those movies, like, we watch it, we talk about it, and, like, as soon as we finish talking about it, like, I wanna go put it in and watch it again. Like, I wanna go back and rewatch it just after
Yeah,
talking about it, so
absolutely.
All right, well, let us know where you think Airplane should rank on the rewatchability and nostalgia meter for you. You can send us an email, let us know on social media, or you can leave us a comment right here in the YouTube if that's where you're watching this episode. So, all right, Laramie, not Laramie, I did it again. Doggone it. All right, Nicholas, thanks so much for joining. What's going on over at Pop Culture Roulette, kicking off 2026? What you got going on?
We'll be coming off our hiatus here pretty soon. You know, with the holiday season, it was a little too
Hmm.
much. I think we're gonna start off, or we already maybe did. Look back at 2025, like what we really
Hmm.
liked about it, and then probably the week after we'll do like a look forward to
Hmm.
what's on tap, what's scheduled, what we think might be coming up, and then we'll go back to the normal, just random inane nonsense that we like to do over at Pop
Right.
Culture Roulette. Probably a
Whenever,
couple.
whatever.
By that point it'll be at a month since we've done a bracket, so we'll probably be itching to do one again.
Yeah. Yeah. Always look forward to those episodes. Hey, you've had some good ones even over Christmas. You had like the different Santas
Yeah.
episode, which was good. So um yeah, I can't remember the last what was the most recent one you did? It's like I'm
Oh,
totally blanking on me.
the Christmas songs that we just couldn't stand
Yes,
anymore.
yes, yes, that was a good one. Yeah. I when I saw that, I was like, ooh, I've got to listen to this one because I'm definitely in there with you. Like, why has this song been recorded so many times? Just stop. Stop it. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Thank you so much for joining us. Please come back in 2 weeks. We talk about Naked Gun. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Be sure to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd love for you to support the show as well by becoming a partner at buymeacoffee.com. Jump online and visit the website 80sflickflashback.com and our TeePublic store for some awesome 80s Flick Flashback merch and original designs. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Tim Williams for the 80s Flick Flashback podcast. Oh, it's a big, pretty white plane with red stripes, curtains in the windows, and wheels, and it looks like a big Tylenol.